Cannabis Common Sense, the show that tells the truth about marijuana and the politics behind its prohibition.
Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Cannabis Common Sense. We have a great show for you tonight. Right here next to me is Angela Baca, who's been a writer and activist for a long time, along with Madeline Martinez, both of whom are, they just put out a new initiative to reform Oregon's marijuana laws. Thank you, ladies, for doing that. And we'll be talking more about that and taking your calls and questions on it. Over in the wings, we're happy to have Mr. John Cornett back, ready to play some music.
Hey, Paul.
Hey. And then we have several videos and a couple of video clips, and we'll be right back after we bring on our infamous Dancing Cannabis Leaves.
I feel the force. All right, our first story tonight is out of Juneau, Alaska. Lawmakers and regulators have signed off on provisions explicitly permitting adults to consume cannabis at specifically licensed retailers. Under the new rules, which take effect on April 11th, licensed cannabis retailers may apply with state regulators for an additional on-site consumption endorsement. Local governments may challenge the applications in certain instances or initiate a municipal vote to limit on-site activities. The soonest regulators could begin approving the new licenses in Alaska is this summer. While some local municipalities such as Denver, Colorado, and West Hollywood, California already regulate on-site consumption, Alaska is the first adult use jurisdiction to establish such regulations statewide. Then in New Jersey, we have some big news. Several marijuana reform bills have been voted out of their New Jersey legislative committees and are awaiting floor votes. New Jersey Senate Bill 2703 and Assembly Bill 4497 have both passed out of their committees and are set to be voted on as early as Monday, March 25th. These bills would legalize the personal possession of 1 ounce or less of cannabis and would regulate and tax the adult use and retail sale. Some highlights of the landmark legislation are expedited expungement of past misdemeanor marijuana convictions, taxing marijuana sales at 3%, which will be collected by or paid to municipalities wherever retail stores exist, incentives to promote social, economic, racial, and gender equity in the state's cannabis industry. New Jersey's Governor Phil Murphy, one of the driving forces of marijuana legalization in the state since taking office this January, has already signaled his intent to sign a legalization bill once it gets to his desk. However, the margins in New Jersey state legislature are still very close, with a slight majority of the legislatures being in favor of legalizing marijuana for adult use in the state. With several state lawmakers still on the fence about legalization, input from residents of New Jersey is of paramount importance. Legalizing marijuana would result in dozens of positive impacts for New Jerseyans and cannot happen without the support of reform-minded residents who are committed to promote freedom in New Jersey. If you're in New Jersey, contact your legislators. Out of Concord, New Hampshire, costs specific to the state-sanctioned use of medical cannabis may be eligible to reimbursement under workers' compensation laws, according to a ruling by New Hampshire's Supreme Court. The justices ruled that State Compensation Appeals Board erred in denying a reimbursement claim solely on the basis that cannabis is federally illegal. The New Hampshire High Court failed to find any evidence to support the board's claim that reimbursing the employer for the payment of medical marijuana would be in express violation of federal law. The New Hampshire Supreme Court opined, quote, because the board's order fails to sufficiently articulate the law that supports the board's legal conclusions and fails to provide an adequate explanation of its reasoning regarding federal law, it's impossible for us to discern the basis for the board's decision sufficient for us to conduct meaningful review. Accordingly, we remand to the board for further determination of these issues." End quote. The Associated Press reports that at least 5 states, Connecticut, Maine, Minnesota, New Jersey, and New Mexico, have determined that medical marijuana treatment is reimbursable under their state's workers' compensation laws. The court opinion is available online. In the United States House of Representatives, the Financial Services Committee is scheduled to convene a markup on the Safe Banking Act, or H.R. 1595, on Tuesday, March 26th. In another bureau there in D.C., the U.S. Department of Agriculture held a meeting on hemp last week as regulators worked to establish rules and regulations for the production of hemp for fiber, food, protein, fuel, oil, and CBD. Out of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, Republican Governor Ken Stitt has signed legislation, HB 2612, clarifying regulations and patient protection specific to the medical use of cannabis. A majority of voters last June approved a statewide initiative authorizing the plant's use, cultivation, and dispensing. The new legislation codifies the Regulatory Bureau, the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority, within the State Department of Health, and establishes a registry for qualified patients and their caregivers, and establishes a revolving fund to address oversight matters. It strengthens patient protections by explicitly stipulating that registered cannabis consumers may not be denied public assistance, access to firearms, or employment solely based on their patient status. It further states, quote, "No employer may refuse to hire, discipline, discharge, or otherwise penalize an applicant or employee solely on the basis of a positive test for marijuana components or metabolites," end quote. The bill seeks to facilitate standards for banks who wish to partner with medical cannabis businesses and prohibits local governments from enacting guidelines which restrict or interfere with the rights of a licensed patient or caregiver to possess, purchase, cultivate, or transport medical marijuana. Members of Oklahoma's House voted 93-5 in favor of the legislation. Senate members voted in favor of the bill by a margin of 43-5. The new law takes effect 90 days following the adjournment of Oklahoma's 2019 legislative session. An estimated 55,000 Oklahomans are registered with the state to access medical cannabis. Our next story is from Tallahassee, Florida. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, a Republican, on Monday signed legislation, Senate Bill 182, repealing the state's blanket ban on the inhalation of herbal forms of medical cannabis. Upon taking office, Governor DeSantis demanded lawmakers rescind the ban, which he said was contrary to the provisions of the 2016 voter-initiated medical cannabis access law. The new law took immediate effect. Under the law, qualified patients are permitted to possess up to 4 ounces of herbal cannabis if a recommending physician opines, quote, that the benefits of smoking marijuana for medical use outweigh the risk for the qualified patient. Lawmakers had previously banned the act of smoking medical cannabis or possessing herbal cannabis flowers, except in instances where they are contained in a sealed, tamper-proof receptacle for vaping in 2017. And after months of negotiation, Governor Murphy of New Jersey and state legislatures have reached a deal that will include in the upcoming legislation to legalize the adult use and retail sale of marijuana in New Jersey. So our next story is out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. Lawmakers have approved a pair of bills amending the state's medical cannabis program to expand patient access to the plant and provide additional legal protections. Senate Bill 406 expands the pool of patients eligible for cannabis therapy to include those diagnosed with post-traumatic stress, severe chronic pain, Crohn's disease, Lou Gehrig's disease, sleep apnea, and neuropathy, among newly specified conditions. It also enacts explicit legal protections prohibiting employers, social service workers, and hospitals from arbitrarily discriminating against patients solely for their medical cannabis status and or their failure to pass a drug test. The measure prohibits regulators from placing limits on the percentage of THC or other cannabinoids in therapeutic products, and it establishes reciprocity with other states' medical cannabis programs. The bill marks the first significant amendments to New Mexico's medical cannabis laws, which had been previously opposed by the Republican Governor Susana Martinez. The measure awaits further action from the Democratic Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham. Last week, New York's Governor Andrew Cuomo announced the proposed budget plan in both the New York State Senate and Assembly will include marijuana legalization and regulation. However, this week, New York Governor Cuomo announced that marijuana legalization language will no longer appear in his budget proposal. So he's flip-flopping. That's the end of our Hemp News segment tonight, and John Cronette's ready to channel some Willie Nelson.
Oh, you heard about that? Oh,
I heard
yes,
you practicing.
sir.
I recognize that
Well,
song.
it's actually a conversation between Willie Nelson and Merle Haggard. You know, they got together, I guess, burned a bunch of blunts, and the next thing you know, this song comes out. It's called "It's All Going to Pot." Now it's all going to pot, whether we like it or not. The best I can tell, the world's going to hell, and we're sure gonna miss it a lot. All of the whiskey in Lynchburg, Tennessee just couldn't hit the spot. I got $100 bill, friend, to keep your pills, 'cause it's all going to pot. That Jack Bobblehead in a box must think that I'm dumb as a rock. Read me the news while I'm kicking off my shoes, and it's scaring me out of my socks. That red-headed stranger I'm not, but buddy, let me tell you what. You ask old Will and say, here's the deal, it's all going to pot. Well, it's all going to pot, whether we like it or not. Yes, I can tell the world's going to hell, and I'm sure gonna miss it a lot. All of the whiskey in Lynchburg, Tennessee just couldn't hit the spot. I got $100 bill, friend, you keep your pills, 'cause it's all going to pot. I thought that I found me a girl, sweetest little thing in the world, that all my jokes went up in smoke when I caught her making eyes at Merle. He said, sweet little honey with your eyes on your money, gonna get every penny you got. He said she ain't gonna get it 'cause I already spent it, Merle. It's all going to pot. Well, now it's all going to pot, whether we like it or not. Best I can tell, the world's going to hell, I'm sure gonna miss it a lot. All of the whiskey in Lynchburg, Tennessee just couldn't hit the spot. I got $100 bill, friend, you keep your pills, 'cause it's all going to pot. I got $100 bill, friend, you keep your pills, 'cause it's all going to pot.
Yeah, I do.
John.
Thank you, Willie and Merle.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good one. Well, welcome back to the show. It's good to have you back
Good to have
again.
you. I mean, good
Weeks
to
in a
be
row.
here with you.
Good to be back. So, you were on last week talking. We were talking about the regulatory bill. It's was Senate Bill 639.
It was 639.
Doesn't look
yes.
like it's going anywhere, though.
No, it probably isn't. It's kind of a bait and switch. It ended up being a bait and switch as well,
Okay.
where you pay to go in and then you're escorted out to consume.
Oh,
It just doesn't make sense to me.
doesn't make any
Well,
sense
it's
at all.
because they've been getting paid a lot of money from the public health lobby in the Oregon State Legislature, and we feel that at this point, as consumers, we've paid over $173 million to the state, and our money is probably worth more than theirs.
And you're just talking about the medical marijuana state fees,
No,
That-
I'm
that's
talking
the
about recreational
taxes on
taxes over the last
recreational.
3
3 years.
not
which-
including the medical
No,
bills.
but I'm a medical patient who hasn't been a registered patient for 2 years because they've disincentivized the Oregon Medical Marijuana Program, which is part of why we're doing what we're doing. I've been paying recreational
So
taxes for 2 years.
Tell our audience what you're doing, because I haven't announced it here on the show yet. So
Go
you
ahead.
filed an initiative.
On Monday morning, Madeline, Leah Flynn, and I filed as chief petitioners of the Legalization Justice Act of 2020. We're calling ourselves the Oregon Justice League. And our thought is that all of the reasons we won the battle for public opinion, for legalization in the public, to take care of patients, to do justice towards the social equity portion, and to create sustainable localized economies have failed. Our legislators have failed us on actually carrying out the spirit under which we've passed that law. So to us, it's really important.
I think we all agree, and all the patients, such as yourself, feel like we've been raked over the coals, to put it nicely.
Right, and as far as patients go, we would be taking back 25% of the recreational taxes to subsidize low-income patients. We added incentives in there for the grower-caregiver relationship again, and people like me who have incurable chronic illnesses that are written into the OMP, like Crohn's disease, could be issued a lifetime card through a naturopath, a physician's assistant, or a nurse's practitioner, and we can't get thrown off of organ transplant lists if our bill passes.
Right, we're adding a
put that in there.
transplant. That's
in
the
there.
most exciting part, because they throw our organs away rather than use them with someone else.
And
people
they
die
take us
waiting.
off the list, you know, and which kills us.
Right.
It's a death sentence.
Right.
I've seen that happen to 100 people I've known personally.
Too many people have,
You know,
that's happened to
that-
too many people, and we need to stop it now. We need to make a point of it. I mean, our rights matter as well. How can you tell me I don't deserve to live because I consume cannabis? It's ridiculous. And so these are the reasons we sat down and wrote this law, to change it all.
It's also important for us to provide a model for other legalization states, especially going into some sort of federal legislation that we know is around the corner, to make sure that our voice is heard now before anything's set in stone at the federal level.
So it also has a clause in there to talk about lobbying to change federal law, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. What we want the
You want the
governors,
state to do it.
we would like the governor to enter into negotiations with the federal government to be able to export Oregon surplus out of our state borders, possibly to patients in places like Utah who are waiting until 2021, or our neighbors in Nevada who have a constant shortage. We have plenty of product. There's no good reason we shouldn't save our craft farm community by exporting that product out to the market that needs it.
Well, of course, I'm 100% in agreement with that. And I want to thank you, ladies, for moving forward and doing this. Next time, maybe Leah Flynn can come in as well.
Yeah.
But I understand you're going to refile next week to add in some additional provisions.
Right. I wrote the original text with Leah and Madeline earlier this week, and none of us are attorneys. But we made the stir that we needed to make, and we've got an attorney ready to put in some provisions that are with Oregon Code.
I know Leah works with one attorney.
Lee Lindberger might be the attorney who might be helping us.
Good, good. He's been a big supporter for a long, long time and continues to help patients in court.
Exactly. And I think that he has a take on this that's familiar with Oregon law and the things that have been missing within the law that need to be adjusted as far as social justice for former prisoners or people with records as well.
I'd be happy to see my cannabis arrest here in Oregon from back in 1986 expunged. That would be a good thing.
The city of San Francisco actually used an algorithm to go through 30 years of files and determine who was able to be expunged automatically, and then they automatically expunged them. And so we would like to see something like that in Oregon as well,
Isn't that
and the federal
amazing?
level.
We've evolved so much
I've
in
seen
every way.
Oregon legislators are pushing a bill to expunge possession in federal convictions. And I also was convicted in Oregon's federal court back in 1993 for simple possession. They tried to convict me for growing. The jury basically found me not guilty, even though I was. It was jury nullification. But I was found guilty of simple possession of 2 grams. Because I had the prior, it would have been a misdemeanor if it was my first offense, but because I had the prior growing penalty, it was a felony. So I'd be very happy to see that possession conviction expunged at the federal level as well.
Yeah, that'd be great.
It's great that our legislators, Wyden,
working on it, yeah.
Merkley, and Blumenauer are working in that
I believe
regard.
they're all part of the Cannabis Caucus now, Paul.
Yeah.
Even though we used to chase them around with all my little propaganda to give to them, and now they're all on our team. It's pretty exciting, I must say. I feel that activists like us collectively educated them because they were so.
There's no doubt about it.
I mean, they were so dogmatic about.
And we educated people, both through our activities, like with Oregon Normal and the
Yes.
Cannabis Cafe and this TV show, being on cable TV
The
for
Global
the past
Cannabis
23
March.
years. The Global March, which we have coming up again, is it
May.
May 6th?
I believe
I think
so.
it's May 6th.
We the people changed public opinion to be able to make all of this happen.
Yes.
And now it's time that we reap the rewards of legalization and not just the people who are reaping the rewards of prohibition. And that's really our point.
Well, it makes perfect sense.
It really does.
If anyone out there has a question or comment for us tonight, you can call us at 503-288-4442. That's 503-288-4442. We also have a studio audience here, so if you want to come down and join the studio audience, and you're welcome to come down most Friday nights and join us here and ask questions in the studio if you have any. So that's that.
Yeah. Well, I'm really excited moving forward, so I'm just glad we got to come here and announce it, and still
I'm
let
happy
people
you could
know
too.
we're really excited about where this is going. And please get involved. And when you see those petitions out there, be sure and sign them, because it doesn't do any good for us to work on this camera, and do all the work, because we need your signatures. We are the people, and you are one of those people. So get involved.
And that's one of the reasons I worry about incrementalism as far as a policy for cannabis legalization, is that once we get to a place like legalization, people tend to get apathetic and forget that the job is not done.
And the legislature makes it more stringent and more stringent and more regulations and over regulations, and it hasn't been good for the industry or the people who invested in it, and especially for Oregon farmers who are trying to make ends meet.
As a native Californian myself, I've been watching the economic situation in Southern Oregon and Northern California pretty carefully, and I'm pretty worried about what's going to happen to this region and what the ripple effect of that could be, even though these are the people that we're providing for our patients, and these are the people that help change public opinion, and this is where some of the best product in the entire world comes from.
Yeah.
So we have to protect that, and I think that's pretty imperative too.
Well, I'm, again, very happy that you guys are pushing that. We have some videos. I don't know if the studio has any of those ready. But, there's someone on the microphone here in our studio audience. Go right ahead, sir.
Hello, how's it going? My name's David Rexrode, and I have a condition called Marfan syndrome. And when I heard you speak about how you were working on a lifetime card because you have Crohn's disease, that's amazing. People that are born with a condition should be able to have access to a lifetime. It's not like we're in a wreck. We were born a wreck, so there's a difference. But I'm glad that you guys are doing what you're doing and keep up the great work.
I think it's really important to note that at the federal level right now, there are people who want to change the schedule of marijuana to make medical cannabis prescribable. But there's a clear definition between prescribing and between recommending. Prescribing is that they're going to tell you the exact standard dosage that you should take and give that to you. Recommending is saying, I recommend you get more sleep. I recommend you get more vitamin C. You can get that through supplements as needed or through oranges as needed. Cannabis has to stay in that realm of a recommendation and a nutraceutical, because to me, herbalism is about self-empowerment. And I think that cannabis is the gateway herb out of the pharmaceutical industrial complex. And that's why it's so threatening to everyone.
I think it's a gateway out of a totalitarian state. I think it's a bellwether for the future of freedom. If we can't grow our own fuel, grow our own clothes, grow our own medicine, then we are not free. And with the advent of the growth of artificial intelligence and the surveillance intelligence state, if we don't protect our rights now, then when the robots take over, we're in a world of hurt. The dystopian possibilities are endless, really.
I know. I got rid of my little robot that used to vacuum.
Oh.
Gave me the creeps.
Well, they're not very smart, though.
Well, it gave me the creeps anyway, because it's moving around.
I never tried one of those, but
Yeah,
I don't think
don't.
it'd work in my situation. We have a video ready now. We'll be right back after this video.
Your Roomba would just be a nug collector.
At my house.
Well,
But
just
I
say
can
what you can.
I can say
What
that-
should I ask
yeah.
you? Oh, you're back. So you just got back from from Washington, D.C. So you filed this initiative in Salem on Monday.
And right after we filed, Madeline and Raphael dropped me off at the airport to go to DC.
I see. And now you're back. It was a whirlwind trip for you.
Right, and I learned a lot of really important things. I did speak to our representatives, and I'm really happy to know that Senator Wyden is sponsoring the Marijuana Justice Act. As I've learned a little bit more about the legislation at the federal level and the legislation different groups are trying to propose, I think it's really important that the entire cannabis community go very hard to support the Marijuana Justice Act, because it's the only one that federally decriminalizes and deschedules and does not mess around beyond that. Those are the key parts of the social justice element to me, is decriminalization and descheduling at the federal level. And I think we all need to get behind that, because the other options right now are moving faster, but they're much worse.
I was kind of afraid of what Wyden filed, his Senate Bill 420. It's 65 pages of overregulation that includes a tax that starts at 15, then goes to 20, and then goes to 25% on top of our existing state taxes.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know about that, and that's a mess.
Yeah.
But I do also have a huge problem with the Safe Banking Act, which is the one bill in Congress right now that deals with cannabis that is being rushed through. And with
What's the problem with that? I mean, we
problem with
talked
that
about
is
they've
that-
got a Tuesday
Right,
markup to change that.
It allows them to continue criminalizing us, the people. It allows them to continue criminalizing us, the people, while allowing Wall Street to take the profit from the businesses that are spelling us this stuff. If we were to decriminalize and deschedule, we wouldn't need a Safe Banking Act. It would be safe to bank. So I think that we should start from the justice side, which is decriminalizing for the people and descheduling for the medical reasons, and then we can talk about the Banking Act, but it won't be necessary.
Yeah, I agree. You know, I have been through 19 different bank closures, including one just less than a year ago, closing my personal accounts. They said because I am a marijuana activist. And out of the 19 different bank closures, only one other one would say it's because of marijuana. The other 17 says, we can't tell you why we're closing your account. It says in your account agreement that we can close it for no reason at all.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And that might make people in the industry inclined to support something like the Safe Banking Act, because it's a quick fix to their problem, but we have much bigger problems as a whole, and that would be a problem that was non-existent if we solved the real underlying cause of the problem with banking, which is the legalization issue.
All right. And so the Marijuana Justice Act, is that Blumenauer's?
I think it's Booker's, isn't it?
It's Cory Booker's,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. What do you know the number?
I don't know it off the top of my head.
I'll look for it real
Well,
quick.
the Marijuana Justice Act, that's pretty easy.
Right.
to
Yes,
do.
it is.
And your group is the Marijuana Justice League, right?
Yes.
Oregon Justice League.
Oh, the Oregon Justice
And the
League.
Legalization Justice Act of 2020. While I was in DC, I also met a group in Nevada that isn't pushing an initiative, but they're pushing almost the exact same things that we're talking about. I also know that there is a movement at this point in California to do the same. And I think that when we wrote the language, we were really clear about saying that we wanted to make a template that could be repeated in places like Washington and California and Nevada and Colorado too, because this does not stop at Oregon.
No.
But for us as Oregonians, this is where we can make a difference, so this is where we're starting.
I did not realize a while ago that there was a sound problem on that video from Jorge Cervantes, but the audio is fixed now, and here's Jorge Cervantes.
I mean, Italy, I just learned about Italy. I haven't been paying much attention. Well, I know here in Spain things are just popping. They have been for years. But what are there other countries in Europe that things are going crazy?
Germany's getting more pragmatic with the whole situation.
Really?
We have new medical laws now in Germany. There are discussions in Parliament about how to regulate for recreational use.
Really?
We know one thing about the Germans: when they do something, they're going to do it correctly.
That's true.
And I think they will do it. They will study it much more. But there are studies now going on at a high political level, and we may be looking at a huge breakthrough in Europe for recreational use of marijuana.
Boy, it's about time.
If
we
that
really
happen-
need that.
If that happens, Europe will fall.
Good. Because
Finally.
Germany is the one that is.
Germany
They
is
do everything.
It's the
you know.
saddle on the horse.
Yeah, it really is.
Yes.
It really is. And what about other countries? Do you see things happening in other countries or no?
I think what we see is, as far as like Spain, what's going on here, in Italy there's a breakthroughs in Germany, but right through the spectrum of all countries in Europe, there is an active political discussion, and so there's nobody's sitting on their hands. Every government knows that things have to change.
Wonderful.
And
Wonderful.
we see it in Ireland. In Portugal already is very well advanced, but you see it in the Eastern European bloc. In Luxembourg.
Luxembourg,
How cool is
right,
that?
right, yeah, that's so
mean-
true. I mean, they're legal now. Legal. Luxembourg is
Hallelujah.
legal.
Guys, go to Luxembourg.
Yes.
Not too
yes.
many of you, it's small, you all won't fit in there, but it's good.
That's true. I mean, Luxembourg, little bitty country like that, but very advanced. Very
I
advanced.
think Belgium has to speed up a bit.
Yeah,
Belgium are lagging behind now.
Yeah,
really just-
they've always been a different country,
They
though.
have,
You know,
yes.
everything's got to be done on a community basis there, and
Yeah,
it takes
yeah.
a bit of time and stuff.
Well, it's time.
You know, and what about Brexit? Is that making any problems for you or anything? You know, I mean, that's different.
Well, it's the known unknown, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, nobody
God.
knows. I mean, what's happening there? I don't think they know themselves. You have to rely on these politicians to not do something stupid, right? So, but
does that go in the same sentence? I wonder.
well,
you know?
yeah, you see it. You see it
yeah.
on a daily basis, but it's kind of scary. But we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen to our market over there. Everything seems there has been no progress with anything in Britain because they're too tied up with this Brexit situation.
Right.
So it's the one unknown we have.
Yeah,
You
that's
know?
so true.
However, you know, I've yet to see any country fall so flat on its face. So I'm kind of hoping, and I'm optimistic about it. I have to be.
Excellent.
Have to be.
Well, of course.
Jorge Cervantes with a fellow from Barney Seeds talking about the developments in Europe, and things are happening all over the world.
Right.
It's hard to keep track of everything.
But all politics are local,
Yeah.
and we're moving now. We've decided that we've taken enough, and we love the state and the good people at Health Policy, but wow, they have gone over the edge with this protecting children from adults being in a venue inside of a building. And to say that in some way
The
exposes
kids outside
children,
of the building are somehow harmed by that.
yeah, by the air
how come they're
filtration
not?
system.
Yeah.
But we're standing on the street smoking right now, so
Yeah,
they
that's
can
the
already
problem.
see us.
And
Right.
how are we protecting our children by allowing them to be exposed in that way?
Or
And I
sticking
think-
adults in a closet to
Right.
hide.
Right. But it also, it says to the children, you can disrespect the law, not a problem. You know, I mean, what kind of a message are we sending them?
So
And Madeline's former law enforcement.
that's right.
I
You're a member of law
am.
enforcement.
I retired
against
as
prohibition, LEAP.
Yes, I do belong to LEAP. But I never go speak for them because I kind of don't want to mix up heroin with marijuana or, you know, any of the other things that they talk about. And, you know, scheduling is always important no matter when you're talking about drugs, because I really hate that they have marijuana on the same list with heroin. It's ridiculous. And that's another bad message we send to our children. Oh, if you smoke a joint and you happen to like it, hit some heroin, maybe you'll feel better.
Right. And
Because
that's
we're
been the
sending
problem.
them mixed messages. And we're lying to them, quite frankly.
Botanical opium might be safer, but we'll never know.
Yeah, right. We'll never have that opportunity.
Well, unless they change. What do you think about the potential changes in the mushroom law?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I've
so
actually
allow-
worked pretty closely with the Oregon Psilocybin Society,
Yes.
so I know what's going on. I think they've got really great prospects. I'm really excited for what they're doing, and I'm excited to see natural medicine spread out of the closet and into the light again.
Yes.
So then maybe we will see organic opium and coca leaf and other things that are natural and not refined that are healthier for us.
Right, and you know, I've had this thought with opiates in particular, is that a pharmaceutical opiate is usually made of a isolated compound, and the more you take that compound, the more of it you're going to need to get the same effect. But that's what's so great about diverse plants like cannabis, is you buy a bag, maybe you start getting used to it if you're smoking that same bag, but instead of increasing the dose, just switch up to another variety. They're endless. And like that's what's magical about plant medicine, is that we don't have to stick with just this one compound that we become tolerant, addicted, and withdraw from.
Yeah, that's one of the things I really like about cannabis too, because if you put 3 different samples in a bowl and you use that, it helps every single part of your body.
Right, and I think that's important because most of the patients I've ever talked to said that they have the best effects from lots of different blends of things, lots of option, lots and lots of choice. And the way we've been legalizing has been trying to standardize and regulate what can get into a patient's hand. And I think it's really important that those of us who have familiarity with the West Coast Cannabis Caregiving Society and how medical cannabis actually works needs to step up right now before federal policy change and start saying these things.
Right. We actually get a big bowl and we mix, put a layer of cannabis, and then we put a layer of hash, another layer of cannabis, a layer of BHO.
I love a good hash salad myself.
Right? I mean, it's so delightful and puts you right to sleep.
I bet. I
Yeah,
bet
you
if
can't
haven't
smoke
pumped
that
sleep,
when you're driving around.
you
'cause
get your full 8 hours.
Yes, you will. You will.
You know, we do have the Global Cannabis March coming up here in, what is it, about 2 months now? A
Yes.
little bit less. And we have a couple videos from the Global Cannabis
I
March.
love
Here
them.
is Eric Llewellyn at the Global Cannabis March a couple years ago. We'll be right back.
Excellent.
Out there today. Are we all ready to march? All right, let's talk about what today is all about, all right? Serious minute. Today is about cannabis. Today is about making it legal for everybody. Not just us here in Oregon that have already legalized it, not just Washington and all the other ones that have already got it legalized. We want it legalized globally, all right? This is the day when we all get together and we march as one unison to make this plant legal for everybody, all right? So let's keep that in mind. Now here's my other thing. The Medical Marijuana Project here. We're all at risk. If you need it for medical reasons, if you need it to make your daily life happen, we're in jeopardy. Y'all may not see it, but we are. They're taking it from us day by day. Minute by minute, we're losing everything we have. Y'all feel safe with that? Do you want to pay these rising prices that we have? Do you feel that you should have to pay for your medicine? Pay for life? No, everybody should have the right to have life. The freedom of the journey to live is what we're here for, all right? So I'm one of those that like to make it short and sweet because that's how I do my thing. Let's put our hands together. Let's route it out. And let's enjoy this march for everybody that deserves the right to enjoy a plant called cannabis. All right? So, Portland, Oregon, let's line up when it's time and let's march for our freedom of life. All right? Here, Portland, Oregon.
All right. So there's our friend Eric Llewellyn, who couldn't be here tonight, but we thought we'd bring him in virtually anyway.
Yeah.
So
He's
we've got
a great guy.
that march coming up down at Pioneer Courthouse Square here in Portland. It's in conjunction with 300 different cities all around the world. They literally have hundreds of thousands of people marching in Santiago, Chile, Buenos Aires, Argentina. In those cities, they have in excess of 200,000 people in the street on the first Saturday in May. And we'll be down at Portland Pioneer Courthouse Square on the first Saturday in May to have, I think it's our 15th one? Or
No, I think it's maybe our 16th, 19th. I can't even imagine. I can't even remember. I remember when Hannah dropped it and we picked it up just because it was the same month as our anniversary for the Oregon Medical Marijuana Program. So it was very exciting, and there we were marching like crazy. Oh, and the DEA came. Remember, were you there?
I remember that. I remember that.
He
and
came and he looked at me from across. We were at the little amphitheater,
Yeah,
and he looked
they
at me
came.
from over there, and he said, "Hi." And I said, and I told everybody, "Hey, everybody, take pictures of the DEA over here. He's taking pictures of you." And everybody turned around, and he just looked at me. I'm like, "Are you seriously coming to my party?
Yeah.
And calling me out?"
You know, speaking of you at the Global Cannabis March, we have a video of you 2 years ago at the Global Cannabis March that we're going to run right now, and we'll be right back after this video.
Thank you, Scott, and thank you, Oregon Normal, Portland Normal, and everyone who helped put this march together. And most of all, to all of you, stoners, my people. Yeah, there's nothing to be ashamed of because we smoke pot. You should be proud. Be proud and march with us and show your cannabis pride out there and let people know that we're not different from them. We're law-abiding citizens. We just choose a different substance. It's safer than alcohol. We're not out there beating our wives and making a mess of our family lives because we use cannabis safely and responsibly. And that is NORML's message, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. We are the oldest reform organization in the world, not just the United States, but the world. And now we are in every part of the world. Actually, I was lucky enough to have to head Oregon Normal, and we became the largest chapter, almost 3,000 members, paying members, in the known galaxy. That's right. We were bigger than ever. It was the end of an era when we left. But I will tell you what, Normal's doing a great job. I'm at the national level, and we've got a lot going on. We're trying to fix these ridiculous laws about medical marijuana. And please listen to what Lori said. Keep the medical marijuana program strong, guys. We fought so long and so hard for it. Don't let it go. Don't you let it go. Be something, be involved somehow, some way. And you know what? Today I'm here because not only am I a professional stoner, but I'm a political person. And I'm here stumping for Bernie Sanders because Bernie Sanders can save America. That's right. I'm going to say it. Trump's a chump. And I'm sick and tired of hearing people tell me that he's going to win the presidential election. Give me a break. But anyway, I just say to you, one of my issues right now with Kate Brown, the governor of our great state, and I love Kate, we go back a long way, but I think that it behooves each of us Portland, Oregon citizens to let her know that we are all about Bernie Sanders. And I have a number here. You can call Kate Brown, our governor, and let her know that you would like her to represent Portland and Oregon properly. And we are Bernie. We are a blue state, and I love Hillary. She's wonderful. But I can't have somebody who's beholden to Wall Street in the White House. Haven't we had enough of that already? So let's fight hard. Don't forget, the primary's coming up here in Oregon. Vote for Bernie Sanders, please. And if you feel, go out and let Kate Brown know. Her number is 503-378-4582. And just remember, people, we are government. We the people. And if we don't let our voices be heard, then we have no right to complain. And if you're not a registered voter, we've got voter registration cards right over here at the Bernie booth. There's some at the Oregon Normal and CCRH booth. They're all over the place. Please go look for them. Register to vote. It's so important. Thank you all so much. I love you.
So that's what you see down at our Global Cannabis March. And so you were a big Bernie supporter then, so was I. What do you think about the field this year, Madeline? Why don't we start with you?
You know, I live in
Still like
Portland,
Bernie?
Oregon. I love Bernie, and I always will.
Yeah.
But he's too damn old.
Uh-huh.
I love him.
What is he, 74, I think? Or
yes.
he's 74
Oh,
by
I
the time
think
he got sworn in?
Yeah, he's pretty close to 80.
Uh-huh.
But I think it's really vitally important that we go for diversity this time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm going to just say it. All these years, all these white men have been presidents.
Mm-hmm.
One black man comes and it's like a civil war.
And the racists come out to try to take over.
And he did the best job of all the white men at getting us out of that recession that we found ourselves in after Mr. Bush left, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's
and
been
all
the
the tax
history.
cuts.
Bush 1 crashed the economy. Clinton came in and helped save it. Bush 2 crashed the economy. Obama's come in to save it. I think it's pretty likely that Trump may crash the economy before he gets out of here. It looks questionable. It's been going pretty well so far. But so
I don't
you think
know
Bernie's
if it's going
too old?
well
You want
for middle
diversity?
class.
Who do you want?
I like
Warren.
a woman. I like a
Warren.
woman. Well, I like Warren too, but I don't like
she's a
people
little
telling
older.
me that they're native. I don't like it. So I just want to go for a woman. I like Kamala. I think she's great.
I don't like the fact she was a prosecutor and she was against legalization. She was
I
against
know
the
it, but
bill.
we taught her ass, didn't we?
Well, I hope so.
I
Now
would
she's
like maybe
bragging
a-
about getting high before it was
Listening to Snoop Dogg before Snoop Dogg was out.
Yeah, you know.
So, yeah, right. That's what she claims, that she was
Right.
listening to him
But Snoop
before.
Dogg too, he's questionable. Remember, he left, and Snoop. You call him Snoop lying. I go, yeah, he's lying.
He doesn't
But-
do enough for social justice.
No,
either.
he doesn't. None of them do.
I like
Who
Tulsi
does?
Gabbard. I like her because she's anti-war, and we've been in wars too long. She's
Mm-hmm.
willing to talk to people. I understand that her family and she were against LGBTQ people for a long time, but she's retracted that. And so,
But
I
can
mean,
you
remember
really
Obama
retract
was
it?
against it too. Obama
was against weed.
Was against LGBTQT, whatever.
Well, we taught his ass too.
Right, we had to teach him. Well, she's come along, and she's a young, ethnically diverse person as well.
Look,
What is she?
It's 2019.
She's part Hindi and part East Asian.
Oh.
It's 2019, so we're still a whole year out now from the
Yeah.
primaries. But what I think is really important this time around is that last time you had a Republican field where there was a lot of choice. And so what they ended up doing was picking a candidate that they could unite behind, for better or worse. We didn't have very much choice on the Democrat side last time. Now we do. And I think it's really exciting that we leverage that field of too many players to push for the things that we need to. We need to get them saying the right things about cannabis because we are a huge voting bloc now. And now that we have those 16 people to play off each other this year, we should do that. We shouldn't give anybody our endorsement until they earn it, is my thought.
Well, they've already, most of them have already said they're for legalization.
right,
true.
like Cory Booker and the Marijuana Justice Act.
Yeah,
I
Cory Booker's
absolutely
my
support
guy.
it.
If I could get Cory with some woman, on that ticket, I would love that because Cory Booker.
I wish we had the picture of you and Cory on with you together, because Cory
yeah.
had you
He's-
in This Is My Mama hug.
Yeah, I said, "Can I take a picture with you, Senator?" He grabbed my phone, and I don't know how it happened. He was just like this, and Justin went crazy for that picture. He was so.
Justin being the guy who's a lobbyist for National Normal.
For National Normal, who's always on the Hill, too. He's pretty amazing young man. I tell you what, he's my buddy. He staffed me for the Congressional Hispanic Caucus panel, and he was so great. He was so helpful, and he was out there just being...
I haven't met him, but maybe
Oh, you've
someday.
got to meet him. He's a wonderful
I haven't been
kid.
to D.C. in a long time.
We're going to be going pretty soon.
I hope so. And I can say that whatever Democrat, because I am supporting a Democrat unequivocally in the next election, whatever Democrat gets my vote will be in full support of federal decriminalization and
Yes.
descheduling of cannabis.
Yeah, that's
I
why
feel
I'm
the same
looking
way.
at those people. Cory is, number one on the list for right now. El
And he's the
Booker.
one sponsoring the
Justice
He is
Act.
Marijuana
the
Justice
sponsor
Act.
of the Marijuana Justice Act. And I don't, like I said, I'm not trying to endorse anybody just yet, but he is taking the stand to do the right thing on the cannabis issue. And I think it's important that we unite behind that, whether or not we unite behind him.
We have another. Is there anything you want to say really quick here before we go with another video?
I think it's really important that we pay attention to the federal law. I know we came here to talk about the Legalization Justice Act of Oregon, but really the federal law affects everybody and everything. And the federal government is looking at proposals right now. They don't have enough people in their ear saying the right things, and I'm afraid the wrong stuff will advance. So I think it's really important that we all get on the phone, call our legislators, and tell them that you want the decriminalization and descheduling, and that's the Marijuana Justice Act.
And here in Oregon, our legislators are pretty much behind.
They're on the
you know?
caucus.
Senator Ron Wyden is a sponsor of the Marijuana Justice Act.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and Blumenauer is the Cannabis Caucus.
Right.
Uh-huh.
So we've got it going on here, and it's really rough when they send you those things and they say, contact your rep, contact your
And
rep.
we know our reps are pushing it. so
well,
it's-
they send me a sweet letter,
But if you should contact them anyway.
So when I was lobbying this week, I was talking to people from Utah and other places, and it was an uphill climb for them to go in and talk about cannabis with their representative and their senators. And every one of our Oregon delegation not only were in favor of it, they had a cannabis policy person on staff to talk
Right.
to.
All right.
And I think that's pretty interesting to talk about. We have the advantage as Oregonians because our people are actually representing us on this issue.
Because we've been educating them for so long.
But I think as Oregonians, since we know the guys up here in Portland are great with us, let's contact Wyden. Greg, is it Wyden? No, Walden.
Walden, yeah,
Greg
Greg Walden, sole
down-
Republican in the Oregon
He is,
delegation.
and he is against cannabis in every form. So contact him.
Which means he's against Oregonians in my mind.
Exactly, he's against
Maybe it's
Americans.
time to primary him and get him out
I
of there.
say we do it.
Good idea, Paul.
Check yourself, Greg
Time
Walden.
to get rid of that guy.
Yeah.
We have another video from a couple years ago. This is our friend, the late, great Larry
John?
Kirk,
Oh,
LK. We'll be right back after this.
Well, it was really important because that way sick people could have their medicine for nothing. And, that's what this is all about. The government wants to keep marijuana illegal because they can't find a way to tax it. If they had a for sure way of taxing it, we wouldn't have the problems we have with legalizing it today because everybody knows there's medical properties to marijuana. It is the most important thing is the home grow. That means that my medicine don't cost me. That means that I can grow it for nothing. You don't charge somebody or say somebody can buy a tomato at a grocery store, but they can't grow their tomatoes. You don't tell somebody they can go buy their ears of corn, but they can't grow corn. Why are you going to tell somebody they can have their medicine, but they can't grow it? Well, the first thing I would say is take your money away from those states. So move to a state that believes that you're not a criminal. There are states out there, guys. There's Washington, there's Oregon, there's Colorado now, there's Alaska. Hey, there's Washington, D.C., guys. So take your money out of the states that are oppressing you and move. Do not give tax money to Oklahoma. Don't give tax money to Texas. Take your businesses out of those states and move them to states that believe that you're not a criminal. Take that money that you're spending in Texas and take it to Colorado. My God, it's only one state away, guys. Take your money and speak with your money. Speak with your votes. And if you start taking the money and you start running to the legal states, those states will start changing their attitudes, guys. I'm telling you. So you need to vote with your pocketbooks. The belief that young people don't need to go to jail for a flower. I'm tired of young people losing their scholarships because they decided to party one night. They're doing nothing less or more than their grandfathers did, but yet we're prosecuting them as if they are big criminals. No matter how much progress you make, there's still work to be done. These people are my heroes. They've worked so hard in this movement, but yet they keep working, they keep going. Look at Mr. Emery. I mean, good Lord, look what they did to him, and he's out now, and he's back to activism. Thank God for people like these men. Well, High Times since the 70s, has been in the forefront of getting the lies that the government's been saying out. So why wouldn't you want to support a magazine that's letting the truth be known? I mean, anytime that you can find out the truth, educate yourself, man. And High Times has been educating the stoners population since the 70s. I think the first High Times that I bought was 1975. So they've been at it for a while, guys. And as far as the cups go, oh my God, what an honor it is to be a part of that. I mean, you get to try some of the best medicine in the world, and to have your opinion matter. That's a good thing. But the best thing is because of their push for legalization. I mean, buy the magazine, guys. If you think that young people shouldn't go to jail for marijuana, buy a High Time magazine. If you think that young people shouldn't lose their scholarships because of smoking a joint, go to one of these High Time cups. If you think that young people shouldn't have to pick up the highways because they might have smoked a joint somewhere in their past, then attend any function that you can that supports the movement. So get out there with your dollars and vote, and with your movement and vote.
Scary to them.
All right. So that was our friend
And we're back.
Larry Kirk, who passed away fighting cancer about 3 years ago now.
Yeah,
right?
we miss him.
We do. He was a real
I
inspiration.
carry him with me on my keys. They made a little peace sign for me, pewter, and his ashes. And so he always used to like to go bye-bye, so I carry him around with me everywhere.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. That's great. Well,
It is.
happy to keep his memory alive here on Cannabis Common Sense. So we just got about 5 minutes left here.
Oh, I have a number for you for Representative Greg Walden.
And he's the only Oregon congressional representative who opposes marijuana legalization. What is his number, Madeline?
His phone number is 541-776-4646. And please give him a call and let him know how you feel about marijuana and how you feel disappointed that he doesn't support Oregonians. I'm sorry, Oregonians.
I think it's important for people to realize how easy it is to be a part of the legislative process. It was designed for us to come influence it. You can call up your representatives, you can find out who represents you, you can meet them here in Oregon, you can go out to DC and see them. They work for you, they're paid by your tax dollar, they have to talk to you if you're their constituent. Go do it.
And they should be listening to us, and if you don't call them, what do you expect?
Right.
Give them a call, let them know how you feel. You can even send them a letter. You can't fax them anymore, can you?
Why would you?
I don't know. Maybe you can.
Text.
You can definitely email.
Yes, emails are always good.
If you got a fax,
Who's
But-
got one anymore?
I
I've still
don't
got
know.
one.
Do you
for
have,
medical
I
records.
knew you would have.
Their job is to represent you, and if they don't know what you think, they can't represent you. And if they don't know that it's not just one patient here or a few weed heads over here, it's all of us. We're all affected by this policy, whether or not you smoke or a stoner, and so we all have to be involved in this.
So, we have this banner right behind us that is turned around backwards. And Angela, you did a lot of research and helped on this case. I went through
see what it
a
is.
injunction by Multnomah County Court that says I cannot show our own banner for the Hemp and Cannabis Foundation, even though I'm the president of the Hemp and Cannabis Foundation. It's a long, complicated story, but we're going to be going to trial on May 15th right here in Portland at the Multnomah County Courthouse. So we want to have you come out and show support for us in this trial on May 15th in the Multnomah County Courthouse. We'll have more information. They'll assign the judge the day before. You did a lot of research on this to help us in the earlier stages of the case. And you're working on a book that includes this in the story right now.
Yeah, I've been working on investigative journalism work for the last 10 years or so in the cannabis-specific space.
You worked with Ed Rosenthal for a number of years, I remember
Yeah,
that.
I came into the cannabis space in 2007 as a student journalist at San Francisco State, and then I became the editorial assistant to Ed Rosenthal pretty quickly after that. I've specialized in investigative journalism a lot because I studied my MBA in Oakland in 2010 during the Prop 19 campaign. So I was watching an industry surface while working at Oaksterdam during the day and then going and studying economics and business at night. So to me, the way that we've been rolling this out has been very important. And what I've seen is that starting in Oakland in 2010, the government of Oakland became the first jurisdiction in the United States to license, regulate, and tax cannabis. They created 4 limited, vertically integrated mega grow licenses, and there was a lot of corruption around how those licenses got assigned. But that concept and the players that helped put that there ended up going state house to state house to state house afterwards, and that's why we saw limited licensing happening on the East Coast. So what I'm seeing is not necessarily a conspiracy so much as business as usual, but what we've done is allowed Wall Street to be able to carve up the legal market ahead of legalization.
And so your book will be addressing that.
Absolutely. And like in particular, I think this is really poignant to talk about in Oregon and California, because that is the epicenter of the production of this country for generations. We have always been exporting our product out of state, and then we legalized, but we've had to contain our markets in state.
Are we almost out of time? All right, that's it for the show this week. We'll be back next week. Thanks for watching. Help us restore hemp.
Now the next time that you fall in love, just appreciate the sun above. 'Cause the sun is